All stations, stand by for an incoming radio transmission.
Good morning, Vietnam. Okay. I have to stop. I have to stop whatever is talking. There it is. There it is. That one's just gotta get squashed. Good morning, everybody. And I don't know who's watching on what. Looks like we've got Rumble is up and running. That's the main home. We've got YouTube up and running on the Idaho Preparedness channel on YouTube. You could go watch over there if you're a YouTube person. And if you are on X, I want to welcome you because you know what? I'm going to start using X a lot more. It's just I think it's becoming a very good way to get the word out and to communicate. Let's see, smash and like the subscribe button. Miko Wolf, thank you. Thank you so much. Yes. Smash that like button on whatever platform you're on. As a matter of fact, I'll do it too. Yeah, that's we need to beat the algorithms, and it ain't like I'm trying to grab a huge audience on these. These are for us. This is for us to communicate and get and pass information back and forth. A reliable source of information. Bingo. KD2 UDR. Good morning. Let's see. Everybody, you know what? KK7RDO over on the Rumble side. With a little jumping emoji guy. I love it. I love it. Let me see if I can't copy that. Man, that's the one thing. The Rumble stuff is not coming through on my main comments and reactions. Let me do that and see if it goes. Yep, there it is. From but all the good stuff didn't come through. All the fun stuff. Oh well. Joining me today is God's co-host, Terry. Good morning.
Good morning, all. Good
How
morning,
you
all.
doing?
Good. I was just seeing where Jason is from. Wow, he's all the way from New York.
Oh,
I've never seen those call signs before, so I thought I'd check it out.
which one?
It's Bingo.
Oh, okay. Yeah, a 2 call is normally that's a New York call.
I wonder if he's still
Hey,
living there.
good to have a 2 call in New York, I guess.
Find out what's going on in his town.
Yeah, hey, Bingo, JM, are you in New York City? Or where are you? Where are you located there? That would be, that's interesting. Let's see. The Siren Pickle. Good morning from Coeur d'Alene. Yeah, this, my friends, is an Idaho-based live stream and net. And the main focus of this is Idaho, obviously. But it's a great source of information from Idaho to the rest of the country, from the rest of the country back into Idaho, because, we are not immune from the evils of the evil empire. What was the evil empire's name in Star Wars?
Well, Darth Vader was the bad
Well,
guy.
he was the bad guy, but it was it was just the Empire, wasn't it?
Now, that's the best I can remember. A
I
few years
can't
back.
remember. Just tagged you in a video about post office receiving memos about delivering under travel restrictions and civil unrest. Oh, that's freaking interesting. I'll have to check that out. I'm in Binghamton, 4 hours northwest of the city. Okay, well, it sounds like you're a little bit insulated from the madness, the complete madness of New York City. Mika Wolf, you're up there too, aren't you? You're in New York somewhere? The dark side. Oh, that's what it was. It was the dark side. But I think they officially said it was the Empire. Well, guys, we have a lot of, man, this is not going to be a light and airy live stream today. Right on the Pennsylvania line. Yeah, it's not.
Sounds like a country song.
Yeah, this is heavy stuff, I think. Do you? I mean, Terry, you and I, we kind of discussed what we're talking about today. Kind of dark and heavy.
And getting darker and getting heavier.
It really is. 12 miles and he's in Pennsylvania. Mika Wolf lives in central New York. It's nice and peaceful here, and we welcome ice. Yeah, but now don't you guys have a law passed by your illustrious leader, Hochul, that says that law enforcement in the state of New York is forbidden from sharing information with ICE? I know they have that in California. It's crazy. Even in the most conservative parts of California, it is against the law for a police officer on their own or as an organization to advise ICE. Let's say they've got somebody detained, or they're gonna. I'm gonna switch over to the net screen. Yeah. Anyway, it's even if they've got somebody that they're about to release that's an illegal, and they know he's an illegal, and they want to advise ICE, so they could put a detainer on the guy or gal. They can't do it. They're forbidden by law, by state law. I think that's wrong. Anyway, we are moving over to the net screen here, and what the net screen is all about is you'll see in the center of the screen my open spot, and I can click my little mic, and there I am. K6UDA, getting ready for the net. K6UDA, getting ready for the net. All right, so you can hear that. I'm gonna run everything off of that. Man, that sounds. I'm gonna turn that way down. I'll turn that down. Let's see. Good morning. Been a while since he's checked in. KF0SLSL. Good morning. Good morning to you. Yeah, we're gonna have. I think this is gonna be a good. This is gonna be a good show today. I'm not gonna do much in the way of sit reps today because the whole freaking show is a sit rep. It's What's coming? What's here now? I've been saying it for a long time that we've been in a civil war. And we just haven't known it or started shooting. And now um, the left got what they wanted. And that's kind of what this whole thing is all about today. The cops in the sheriff's department where I live works for the people, not for a cricket government. Yeah, but I'll tell you what, Miko, the cops and the sheriff in your little town um, are subject to their state laws. And if your sheriff is violating state law, even though they're right, if they're violating state law, bad things can happen. Excuse me. Let's see, we got 1 minute. So anyway, middle screen, open spot. This is where everybody checks in to the net. Wow, what a crowd. Hang on here. Let me jump over here. We got quite a few people checked in over there or up on the screen on Wires X. Man, that is freaking awesome. I wish I had a way to get that screen over here and still get the YSF stuff. I haven't figured that out yet. Just way too much. But anyway, it is 9 o'clock. I'm gonna go ahead and start the net.
You'll be back.
Oh, all right. Let's see. Make sure that I've got everything here and everything's running. Yep. Okay. Good morning and welcome to the Southern Idaho Preparedness Net. I'm Bob, K6UDA, your net control this morning. This net meets every Saturday morning at 0900 hours Mountain Time on the K6UDA repeater, located deep within the Southern Idaho Command in Twin Falls, Idaho. This is a digital radio net accessible via Wires X Room 40448 on both Wires X and YSF. It's called the Idaho Command. It's also available on the Hanson Butte 2-meter Fusion Repeater 145.170, and local hams with analog radios can also participate using the KB7 DFP repeater 442.000. I'm going to let it break. And I'm going to turn that down so I'm not hearing myself. All right, the purpose of this net is the free exchange of information related to emergency preparedness, commonly known as prepping. We encourage deep dives into subjects related to food, water, shelter, personal protection, weapons, survival tactics, medical issues, communication gear, and techniques. I'm looking for subject matter experts to lead discussions on all these various subjects. If you have material you'd like to present or discuss, when you check in, please indicate that you have a subject. And that goes along for news, local news to you. Although not primarily political, discussion of relevant political, cultural, or religious events are welcome in the context of situational awareness and survival. As part of my personal preparedness plan, practicing for the gathering of and the dissemination of important news and information to my friends, family, the local community is what this net is all about. So, as training, we do a sit rep or a situation report every week. When times are good, like they are at the moment, I'm using general news stories that I find interesting. I ask everyone here to contribute their own stories or sit reps, especially if you are in or near an affected area of an actual emergency. I'll let it drop. In order to give everyone an opportunity to be heard, I am going to do check-ins and comments in the following order. We'll do local repeater check-ins, then Wires X, then YSF. Gives it time to spread out. And then we might get to some live stream comments. You're encouraged to check in with your first name, call sign, location, and how you're getting into the net, i.e. the local repeater, Wires X, and YSF. That being said, do we have any local repeater check-ins? Come now.
This is Kilo Bravo 7 Delta Foxtrot Papa 287 GSP Cannon Twin Fold on the 442. No traffic.
All right, Ken, thank you for checking in. Thanks for the use of your repeater and copied no traffic. Looking for local repeater check-ins, come now. Okay. Well, Terry's sitting in here in studio, so he's not checking in on the radio.
I'm not cooking.
Yep. One more time for local repeater check-ins. Check-ins, come now. All right, let's move on to Wires X. Wires X check-ins, come now.
KE7 RIP. No traffic. Third order. No traffic. Good morning.
All right, got KE7 RIP in there with no traffic from the Pocatello area, and N7 RBP from Medford, Oregon. Again, copied, no traffic. Thank you guys for checking in. Any other Wires X check-ins? Come now.
November 8, Romeo, Quebec, Tango, that's 8 RQT, Charlie in Cincinnati, and I probably could have something to contribute, but if nothing comes to my head for the topic of back to it, always enjoy, 8 RQT.
All right, N8 RQT. Like I said before we started the net, sit reps are going to be very short on my end today because the whole show is going to be a sit rep once we break from the radio. Looking for Wires X check-ins. Come now.
KF0 LSL in Micah, Nebraska. Good morning.
Whoop. All right. Good morning, Mike in Nebraska. Thanks for checking in. Do you have any traffic for the net?
This KF0 LSL is negative.
Okay, well, thank you for checking in. Let's open it up to YSF check-ins. Come now.
Kilo Foxtrot 0, Oscar Hotel uniforms. Sean over here in Minnesota.
All right, good morning, Sean. Thanks for checking in all the way from Minnesota. Do you have anything for the net, or do you have any any kind of local inside information that we should be aware of?
Oh, anybody else around here hate being in a state that's always in the news? Yeah, it was kind of information overload on broadcast TV stations the other day. Of course, they're all slanting one direction. Other than that, yeah, we'll just wait for more and more videos to come out with the ICE agent. And, yeah, one more thing to put Minnesota on the map. KF0, OHU.
Yeah, unfortunately, my friend, you guys are 10x right now in this country. Let's see. Looking for check-ins for the Southern Idaho Preparedness Net. This is K6UDA. All right, hearing none, we'll go ahead and move into SITREP section. Terry, well, I guess, well, I don't know what I could do. I know you've got some information coming out of Iran. Real interesting stuff. Iran is going through its own revolution, its own color revolution. Seems that after 40 years, the people of Iran are kind of done with the radical Islamic government, and they are rising up in the millions. Is it, Terry?
Yeah, the whole the whole country is rising up. It's you know, hey, by the way, I'm trying to find you on Rumble. I can't find you on Rumble or on X. I don't know if it's me or
Idaho prepare. Just type in Idaho Preparedness Channel on Rumble.
well, normally it comes
Radio
right.
standby. On Idaho Preparedness Net, Idaho Preparedness Channel on Rumble. Just type it into the search box.
Yeah, I'm usually there, but
And then on X, look up at Gray Man Survival.
that one I didn't have. So
Okay.
anyway, okay, just to let you know, I couldn't find it. Yeah, Iran is finally pretty much done with their Muslim leadership, and the whole country and over 100 cities are rising up and rioting and fighting against the regime there and trying to push them back. And I understand that now, and I keep looking for new information. It's really, really hard to find it because our country won't post anything. And some of the posts that you do get on some things are not trustworthy. So it is really rising up, and they're looking to overthrow their Islamic domineering dictatorship and get back to life again.
Yep. All right. Well, we just excluded the radio from that whole.
Yeah. The interesting,
All
they
right.
shut down. They shut down.
For those of you on the radio, Terry's not on the radio this morning, so you missed his little bit. We're gonna move on. I'm gonna open it up to sit reps from anybody that's on the radio that wants to jump on. Okay, last minute check-ins on the radio before we shut down the radio portion of the net.
UD?
KE8 CUD, go ahead.
Yeah, name's Doug here, Northern Minnesota. No traffic for the net. Just checking in. Thanks.
All right. And copied, you're from Minnesota. Do you have any information for us? Any inside information on kind of what's going on there?
Yeah, that's a negative. I live in the Iron Range, about 4 hours from the city, so I'm not involved in any of that. I don't see any of it personally. Just what I see on Facebook and the news.
All right. I'm kind of interested to see what the local slant is if you're not in the city, but you're in the state. Is it are you guys more favorable toward the ICE enforcement, or are you guys more against having any enforcement in that state?
Yeah, personally, I'm for it, and I think a lot of people around this area are. Um, we don't really agree with people from the cities. They actually call them idiots when they come up here. So I don't see a lot of. There are a few small protests in the area, but nothing like what you see in Minneapolis.
All right, copy that. And hey, thanks for the info. I really invite you guys that are in Minnesota to check in weekly and give us an update on what you guys are seeing on the ground. Because the only thing, frankly, that we see is what maybe some alternative media provides us, or what you would see on mainstream media, which is completely slanted. It's kind of interesting to see really where the people are on this subject and what is going on the ground. Anyway, hey, thanks for the information, and thanks for checking in again. Looking for last minute check-ins for the Southern Idaho Preparedness Net. N7 TRD, is it? All right, N7 BRD. Go ahead.
Quite simply, with the ice rink, I take the stance of, well, if I were in their shoes, I'd be different. If I were a migrant with my life situation in the country was trash, would I be looking out too? And the answer is probably yes. So they're really just or doing something that I like. Just something that I like.
Yeah, I don't know if you're mobile or what your situation is right now, but you're very, very broken. It's real hard to copy you right now. I don't know if you could pull over or what your deal is right now. But I'd love to hear your thoughts again. I couldn't understand a thing he said.
I think my
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry, my friend. I can't make out anything you're saying. There's so much background noise behind you. But hey, thanks for checking in, and please check in again. I see you're coming in off the DFP repeater, the 442 repeater. Anybody else? Any last minute check-ins or comments before we shut down the radio portion?
They're leaving behind everything they know. Their banks, their favorite doctors, their favorite country stores, their favorite whatever, places that they shop, their favorite markets. And they're going across unknown territory with very real danger and no problem of being safe or secure.
Yeah.
And
I can't understand anything that he's saying.
They don't speak the language. They barely know the customs at all. And they're trying to do that. Now, my question becomes, what would behoove a normal person to do?
All right. All right, I'm going to have to, well, I'm sorry, guys. It is what it is. I can't understand anything, and I don't think you guys can either. Yeah. Again, we couldn't understand anything from your last transmission. I don't know if you're in a bad spot or what's going on, but a lot of background noise, and we can't understand anything.
I'll have to check on it. Anyway, and the therapy is all be devoted to bring it forward to it. Take care. That was great.
I can't. Yeah. All right. Do we have any other check-ins, last minute check-ins or comments? Come now. All right. With that, I am going to go ahead and give up the radio portion here today. Thank you to all the nodes, all the Wires X nodes that are sitting there on the dashboard. You guys are awesome. Thank you to everybody on YSF, and thank you to the local repeater owners who are graciously putting this out all over the Magic Valley here in Idaho. With that, I return all of the ham radio stations back to their normal ham radio use. Remember, if you have a question or a comment during the next part of the live stream portion of the net, you can go ahead and jump on the radio if you want. With that, I will say 7-3, guys. See you next time. All right. Okay. Let's see, where are we at? There we are. Let's go back over now that we're done with that portion of the net. Let's run over here. And okay. This is I may piss people off with some of the stuff in today's net, and I don't care. I just don't care. This is my ideological bent. And this is, I come from a law enforcement background. I want to read you something, and then I'm going to bring up, I tried to write what I would consider a police report synopsis of what happened the other day in Minneapolis. I'm just going to read it to you. On January 7th, 2026, Minneapolis, 37-year-old Renee Good was blocking a roadway with her vehicle in an apparent effort to obstruct ICE agents from driving on the street. As the incident unfolded, Good's wife exited the vehicle and began filming. ICE agents exited their vehicle, walked up to Good's vehicle, and ordered her out of the car.
No.
Good then put her car in gear, reversed a few feet, shifted into drive, gunned
Yeah,
the
we're ready.
engine. The left front tire broke traction in a forward motion. She returned the wheels she turned the wheels from left to right and began to accelerate toward another officer who was at the front of the vehicle. That officer drew his pistol and fired 3 shots into the vehicle. That officer was also struck by her vehicle. Good accelerated away from the scene and, based on video evidence, lost consciousness as the vehicle accelerated into a parked car. Now, I want to kind of show you. Let me go over here. I got to do this, go into that one, and give me a second here. I'm going to bring you up here. Yeah, this, my friends, from the most trusted source in news. This was the headline after this. Mother of 3 who loved to sing and write poetry was shot and killed by ICE in Minneapolis. This is our media. This is how they spin something. It isn't, like, hey, it isn't nearly accurate. Not even close to being accurate. Let's run over here. We'll run back. How the left has got what they wanted now. They have for months been looking for an excuse to up their game. They wanted a casualty of war, and now they could start their glorious revolution. Isn't that wonderful? They have been using in the past year more and more increasingly violent tactics against federal agents from performing their duties. DHS data says that over 238 assaults on ICE officers occurred from January 21st to November 21st of 2025. That's a huge increase. Since 2025, the left has been looking for its next George Floyd to begin their glorious color revolution. What they got, though, was a white lesbian mother of 3. It wasn't their first choice, but they're going to run with it right now until a better symbol of oppression pops up for them to use. Then they'll forget about her. You'll never hear her name again. Here's what I've noticed about the good protests, whatever. It's all white. It's all white liberals. Blacks don't identify with, the black liberals, let's say. Let me say that. The black liberals in those cities that are prone to participate in, say, the BLM protests or the Antifa protests, which there aren't many that do the straight Antifa stuff, but they don't care. It's not their gig. They don't feel violated yet. They want a black guy or a black gal to be the next victim. And I told you, some of you might not like what I'm laying down. I'm gonna move this one over here so I can see what I'm doing. Terry, are you good, or do you gotta jump out?
Yeah. No, I'm good.
Okay. So anyway, That's what we got right now. We've got, oh yeah, oh here. Let me go over to this screen here again. And oh, come on, come on, come on. Yeah. Leftists. And I gotta publish that one now. Okay, here's what you guys get. You get these lefties that are threatening to kill ICE. I mean, this guy's like showing his target practice on TikTok, and he's directly threatening ICE. So I mean, it is kind of freaking crazy. I'm gonna go back over to live and revert my changes. How come I can't go to live? There we go. Back over to live. Couple of let's go to a couple of comments here. The movie Civil War, quote, yeah, but what kind of an American? It becomes more real. Yeah. The left put that out, and it was, kind of the downtrodden, non-white or white liberal females versus the evil white male in that movie, and and their revolution is gonna win. They're gonna get Trump in the end, right in the White House. So Siren Pickle says she and her wife had been impeding ICE all day. Yeah, they were trained agitators. They were members, or the wife was a member of, or is still a member of an organization called ICE Watch, which is actually an activist organization, not an observer organization. And they 100% were there to obstruct justice all day long, and they do that all the time. That headline is bad. She only had custody of one of the three. Oh, isn't that interesting? The headline is bad. She only had custody of one of the three children. Yeah, the instigators and rioters are mostly paid. Guilty white liberals. Scott Pawlowski. You forgot the key word, guilty. Yes. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Let's see. Oh, on Thursday night, that happened, Wednesday? On Thursday night, in Portland, two suspected Tren de Aragua gang associates, actual gang members, they drove their car into Border Patrol agents, and the agents shot them in typical gang fashion. These two didn't stop. They kept going and drove themselves to a hospital outside the area. And then they called, or somebody, I don't know if they called police or somebody else called police. But and the Portland police right now, they're worthless. They are absolutely 100% worthless.
Hey, Bob,
Yeah.
couple things. The gal that got killed. What's interesting is her kids, or at least the one kid. I don't know how many kids it is in a charter school, and the charter school has a focus on training up their students to be involved just like they're involved here in social justice. Can you imagine taking a little kid from grade school and begin to train them in social justice to do what their mom did?
Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing when you're an adult to make a decision, even if it's a terrible one, but to start training up your little guy or gal to behave like that. And you said something about the news and stuff, and I have a question just throw out there to the folks that are paying attention. Why is the news and our political leftist people, why are they saying what they're saying and not saying what they're saying? Obviously, they are wanting to promote something that's not quite here yet, and there's something behind it. And you brought it up. We know that they want violence, they want total chaos. But you ask the question, why? And I think you and I have discussed it. We have a feeling why, but just for the folks to think about, why? Why do they want their country to be in total chaos, to where the cities, the big cities at least, are a mess? And so when they take over one of these days, when they can get the people to vote for them, or they cheat, or whatever they do, they're going to have to live with this mess. Of course, they'll blow the whistle and people will stop. But I think once it gets to a certain point, there's no turning it back. Once these useless idiots get the taste for blood, they're not going to stop when the Democrats whistle and say, "Okay, it's time to stop." It's
Well,
going to be.
that's why I say that the shooting war has started. Um, I mean, you had within an hour of this thing, you had the governor of Minnesota, Tampon Tim. He jumps on TV and says, "I'm calling the National Guard in to go up against the federal government. We are at war with the federal." He said it. We are at war with the federal government. And he made made comparisons to the first Civil War. That he said that Minnesota was like the first to fight in the in the first Civil War, and man, we're going to be first to fight this time. The mayor of Minnesota jumps in and get the F out, get out of Minnesota to ICE. And then after the Portland shooting, the mayor of Portland jumps on and says, "We are at war with the United States." That is a direct quote that was on that I saw her lips move, and she
And you know
said
what?
it.
What's sad about it is the people in Portland aren't at war. It's just the few idiots that are running the place. We still have family in Portland. Because you remember I was a cop in Portland. We still have family there, and they're in the city, in the city limits, and they're just trying to live their life. Of course, they're being taxed to death. Their water, everything that they have, is gone sky high. And I mean, just to water your yard 2 or 3 times a week, it's $400 or $500 and a month. And because all the businesses have left, the people that have any kind of ability to move have moved, and so it's a disaster there. And every place
100%.
it's but the truth, Bob, it's demonic. There's something behind it, and it's very demonic. And it's the end times violence that the Bible talks about. That in the last days, we're going to be living in a world like Noah was living in, and Noah was living in a world where there was violence in every aspect. Every thought of man was wicked and evil. We're there now. Obviously, not every person in America thinks that way, but we're there in a multitudes of violence and people, and it also said, and people are just going their way, eating and drinking, getting married, and all that stuff, because they're just living with the violence. We're kind of getting used to the violence. We turn it on TV. Oh, another person got shot, another person got run over, and that's a bad position to be in.
It is. It is. I remember years ago when I lived in California, even before I was a cop, or about the time I became a cop, drive-by shootings were such a new and unusual thing that they were reported You know, I mean, that was the big news. There was a drive-by shooting. Um, five years later, or now, let's say now, uh, you'll have 5 or 10 drive-by shootings in a night, and none of them make the news. It's not news anymore. The
Yeah.
murder rate is absolutely insane. Siren Pickle on Rumble says they hate America. They want a color revolution, and they do. They think that's going to be their glorious revolution to usher in their age of socialism. They're going to change the rest of us, and we're going to get into a whole bunch of things that in the media. The media is a big part of this, and AI is actually a big part of this. What I found doing my research for today, I asked AI some questions, and here's what I got out of AI. I asked it, okay, I list the major cities with documented violent protests or unrest from 2020 to 2026. And it lists out, you know, Minneapolis, widespread arson and looting, St. Paul, Minneapolis, riots and damage, Portland, Oregon, Seattle, Washington, New York City, Los Angeles, California, Georgia had their cop city clashes. They had a lot of arson going on. Chicago, Illinois, looting. Kenosha, Wisconsin. That was the Kyle Rittenhouse deal in Kenosha. Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., Oakland, California, Denver, Colorado, Louisville, Kentucky, Salt Lake City. They list all these things, and then they list Las Vegas, Nevada, the Boogaloo linked violent riots, various California cities, San Francisco, Sacramento, and I know about the Sacramento one, where they had pro-Palestine events, and it noted that was that the right-wing violence it far outweighed the left violence. And I was like, that's crazy. But when you take into account the AI is got its default programming to go out and look for information when you ask it a question. And it goes out to mainstream sources, Google, NPR, CNN, ABC News. And so that's the information that it goes out and gets to give you the information back that you're looking for. And unless you tell it to use or to include alternative sources of news and information, that you're going to get this stuff. So anyway, I asked AI, I asked Croc, I said, okay, give me specific examples of, let me find, I said, give me specific examples of protests primarily attributed to right-wing groups, because it said that hands down was the most damaging aspect of rioting in those times. And it brought out one that I particularly went, oh, they were talking about Sacramento, California, which I knew. Was that you or me?
Yeah, just ignore it.
Okay. So they said, so it brought up the Sacramento, California, and Salem, Oregon. And I went, Well, that's really, really odd. And so I asked the follow-up questions. I said, cite for me. Let me see if I could find this in my notes. Oh yeah. So I said, well, list out all the damage that was done in the Sacramento riots by the right wing. And it goes out and it looks and it comes back with none. There was none from the right wing. And I said again in Salem, list out the damages and the violence done by the right wing. None. And then if you go back in and you give it the parameters to include alternative media, you get completely different answers. We'll go through, we'll do that one another day. But we'll, let me go back to my notes here and see. Yeah. So anyway, what I wanted to get to was why is this important? As conservative media outlets and independent voices are now starting to split on policy and by personality. I mean, it's kind of insane. Back, in the 2024 election cycle, conservative voices were pretty much on the same side. And now everybody's so divided and they hate it. That's exactly what the left wants, because the left sees that as an opportunity to turn moderate voters. I'm going to get to a couple of, we got a lot of good comments right now from Steelwolf. Ben Davidson on his disaster cycle prediction of solar micronova 2035 to 2050. Studies in terms of radiological impacts on humans for obvious reasons. There's a lot of them applicable to what's happening here. 2 parts of the brain are most impacted by this event. When we have more particle radiation coming in, are the hippocampus right here and the locus coeruleus at the dead center of your brain. The first thing that happens is it starts to degrade mitochondrial activity in your hippocampus. After all, we're talking about electromagnetic radiation. Those are the energy factors of your cells. They're using electrolytes along ion channels, and you start to lose energy in your hippocampus. Cognition goes down. A fun way of saying you get a little dumber. Well, wow. Very, very interesting. Siren Pickle makes an interesting note. AI programmers, the guys that are actually doing the work, are mostly libs, so they manipulate its programming as well. I found that it lies and even seems to make stuff up. Yeah, it will when it is referencing. The AI isn't like it's not like a big encyclopedia where it stores all the information. It's just going out very fast with a lot of power and getting the information that you're asking for or asking it to do, other than when it's making fake movies and fake pictures. But if you tell it to do something else, it will do that. So you can tell an AI, or you could program the AI when it knows who you are to do things the way you want it done, to give you the right information. Anyway, President Trump. So here's what's going to happen. This is what I predict is going to happen. As the right keeps splitting down the middle, or not even down the middle, you get fragments. You get, Tucker on one side, you get Ben Shapiro on one side. You got a lot of people are dogging Dan Bongino. Well, I'm disappointed that he couldn't get a lot more accomplished things that we wanted. You got to understand, he was not the head of the FBI. He was second in command. So he had to do, number one, what Kash Patel told him to do and what Pam Bondi told him to do. And they've got to take an organization of thousands of agents and they have to start reprogramming the way that they did business. For years and years, the FBI had been weaponized by the left. They brought in left-leaning agents, and you've got to take time. You can't just go, hey, you did things wrong, you're fired. These people they're government employees. They've got their government rights. They can't be fired just like that. They have to be let go for cause. So they were trying to reorganize the organization from the bottom up. And they had made some inroads on that. But yeah, I'm disappointed that they didn't get things done as fast or the way that I would like to have seen them. But to Dan Bongino's credit, he gave it a year and then he got out. He said, you know what? I'm not going to burn my president. I'm not going to burn the house down around me. But he figured I could go back to my life, make tons of money and speak my mind. And he said, hey, there's a lot of things I can't even talk about right now. But once those cases are done, I have things to say about them. It's important for us to know the facts, for us in the prepper community, as conservatives, if you are a conservative, but even if you're a liberal, to know the actual facts. You got to either know it, and I'm not like a particularly smart guy. I can't keep all this stuff in my head, but I know where to go to get it. And I keep that stuff at my fingertips. So if I need to refute bad information, either for my own edification or to talk to somebody about it, or to refute the media, a media account of something like, oh, beautiful mother of 3 who loved poetry just shot dead in the street by our government. And you also want to keep in mind a government that's turning tyrannical, and that could be on anybody's watch. Let me oh, you got to go?
Just for a minute.
Okay. Let me run over to this screen over here for a few minutes, and I don't think we need all that in there. So this is how easily the script gets flipped. Let's see, man, 40 people on YouTube. Thank you. Only 5 thumbs up. Can you please? That helps the algorithm because they hate me on YouTube. They hate this. Please, if you're watching on YouTube right now, thumbs up, 2 thumbs up. Let me jump over to the Rumble side here so I can just see what is going on. The Gray Man, we are live. Don't see any comments coming in on the Gray Man side there. And I don't know. Oop, hang on here. Let me run over to here. 45 people on Rumble. Man, that's quite the audience today. And I really appreciate all the comments and everything. Man, if you've got a question, if you've got a comment, get it in there. Get it in there. Okay. Back to reality here. And Terry's sitting
I'm
down.
back.
We'll go back to Terry.
Sorry, we had a washing machine delivered today, so they came right in the middle of the program here. Okay, what you got going?
Yeah, I want to kind of go through a little timeline here. Remember way back, early 2000s, during the Bush years, the left had a slogan back then. What was that, Terry?
You want me to remember back to the early 2000s?
Question authority. Remember, they used to always have that tagline, question authority, because Bush was in office and doing that thing. Then 9/11 happened. And we all said, "Oh yeah, you want to do this Patriot Act." And a lot of us on the conservative side said, yes, that sounds good. And that was probably the worst freaking thing we could have done, because that opened up the era of spying inside. And so now we are spying inside the US, and that's been going on for 25 years now.
And many people believe that 9/11 was a setup to get the Patriot Act in. And we won't get into that right now, but it's because it was all done. You had all this thick, Patriot Act all set to go, and it wouldn't have been approved until that happened. But something else to think about is, think about this now. We were attacked, at least partially, by Islam, and now Islam basically owns the city they attacked.
Yeah.
They own it. We need to understand that New York will never get back to what it was, because hundreds of thousands, millions of Muslim who are Islamists will come in and become residents. And when the voting comes, they will only vote for a Muslim to take the place. It's gone. It's gone. Just like London is gone, just like France is gone, and all these areas. So we need to understand that this is part of the takeover of America. I know that sounds conspiratorial and all that stuff, but the fact is, I when I was a cop, I remember. It's funny how I can remember this. I was sitting at a Subway type sandwich in the place, and there was a painting on the wall, and you saw this little kitty cat hanging there, and the sign says, "Just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not out there to get you." I want you to think about that for a minute. Just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not out there to get you. And we need to understand that what we're seeing going on in the cities, the riots, the violence, the way our left government has gone wacko, all of that is being programmed by those who are slowly taking over this country. What's interesting, in the Bible prophecy, if you don't mind me sharing this, there's no mention. America is nowhere in Bible prophecy. You won't find it. Why? Why are we in? Why aren't we allies to Israel or to any other nation at that time? Because America will have lost its ability to be an ally.
During the times of Revelations. Yes.
Yeah. And before, shortly before that, we're right there now, moving into that.
Yes.
We need to understand. And you had mentioned earlier, what about, do you want me to say this about Iran a little bit or not?
Yeah, let me just talk about how this how this flips back and forth. So we go from the Obama or the Bush years into and question authority by the left, and the right, was all for the government. We get into Obama years. Obama's in office from 2009 to 2017. And let's see. What do we have? Oh, yeah. Remember this gal, Lois Lerner? The former United States Federal Civil Service employee, head of the IRS, who admitted and later apologized that they were denying tax-exempt status outright or delaying status until they could no longer take an effective part in the 2012 elections. And then in 2013, in a conference call with reporters, Lerner apologized that Tea Party programs and other groups had been targeted for audits and their application for tax-exempt services. This is from Wikipedia. No friend of ours. But yeah, the IRS the Obama administration weaponized the IRS to go after groups like the Tea Party. 2021. Let me run back to here and go back to my two-shot here. There you are. 2021. Again, we have COVID is now the big thing. State and local governments instituted blatantly unconstitutional mandates. Conservatives rebelled and protested against things like mask mandates, unavailable meds like ivermectin, outdoor quarantines, people arrested for surfing by themselves. Nobody else in the water, but they're getting arrested because they were outside defying Gavin Newsom or defying, I'll tell you what, there was one here in Idaho. Gal took her kids to the park and they were playing on the playground by themselves. And the cops come and they arrest this gal. This is in Nampa. It was horrible. But so the left was supporting all this. They were all in favor of all this tyranny, all this, you must wear a mask, you must do as we say, and you will not talk back. And it went down to the little guy on the street, the useful idiots. We come back 2025, we're now back in power. And now, all of a sudden, we support government. We support we support ICE on the conservative side, and the left is now totally against government, totally against this is how quick it flips. And when is it going to flip again? And how would it flip again? Number one, to do this in the United States, expect massive gun control first. They're always going after the guns. That's the very first thing, because you got to disarm your population in order to take them over. There's going to be a massive campaign to turn children against parents, just like they did in Nazi Germany. Parents who hoard food, hide guns or ammo, hold religious beliefs or conservative views. The kids will be trained at their charter social justice warrior schools to rat on their parents and their neighbors and their grandparents. The government will be weaponized against anyone who thinks outside the box. Start researching Cuba in 1959 or Venezuela in the early 2000s. You'll see that playbook in action. Terry, you wanted to give us an update on Iran and what's going on right now.
Yeah, and like I said, it's really hard to keep up because there's a blackout from our news agencies on what's going on over there, except for maybe a Fox or YouTube independent journalists or stuff like that. But Iran is in chaos right now, and the people are fed up. They can't. The water is gone. Their reservoirs are empty. The people think about this. For every $1, it's a million and 1.4 million reals to buy a piece of bread, to buy bread. A million for $1, and the people are just they're done with it, and so they're in the process right now of trying to overthrow the Al Khamenei and take control back and bring in the son of the guy that was there. I forget his name all of a sudden back in '79, and get their country back again. And so now they're getting violent. Trump had said that if you use violence and start shooting and killing the citizens that are protesting, we're gonna get involved. And so right now they're doing that. They're shooting and killing the citizens that are protesting. And so I'm just waiting to see what the next step is, if Trump is going to get involved or not. But people think, well, why are we involved in Iran? That's way over there. It's none of our business. It is absolutely our business. They have a purpose. Their purpose is part of taking over all the countries in the world to make it Shiite and to make it Muslim. And they target Israel, they target America, and they target Europe. And so, folks, Iran is the thorn in everybody's flesh. I don't think we would be seeing the battle going on with Israel and Hamas right now, or Hezbollah, if it wasn't for Iran financing and supplying not only the money, but the weapons and the ammunition needed to keep these fights going on. So we get rid of the Iran's ability to do that by allowing, number one, Israel to be involved and finish what they started, or let the people overthrow their own government, which is the best thing to do, and we can get to the place where we are having peace. But the problem is that people have been programmed in this country and other countries that Israel is the evil people and that they're killing all Hamas and all the citizens in Gaza, which is a bunch of bull. They're not doing it. They even send flyers saying, "Okay, we're going to blow up this area in an hour. Get out of there." And of course, Hamas says, "Oh no, we're going to stick around here. And we're going to bring all these citizens here, especially little kids, let them get killed, so that we can blame you for doing it." And then you have people like Candace Owens and what's the other, Tucker, and all these guys that I have no doubt whatsoever they're bought and paid for somehow. Under the table. I mean, think about this. Tucker was over in Qatar, who is the financier of Hamas, saying how wonderful they are, and he want to buy one of the houses over there, and how he's supporting that. And as a Christian, and those that keep hearing him say, "Well, I'm a Christian," I want to tell you something. Tucker is not a Christian, and neither is Candace. I don't. You can get mad at me for saying that. Well, how do you know? Because the Bible tells us that out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speak. Do you remember the scripture in Matthew 24? I don't want to make this a sermon, but no, I'm sorry, Matthew 7, verse 23, when Jesus was speaking himself, and people said, well, haven't we cast devils out? Haven't we laid hands on the sick? Haven't we all that? He says, yeah, I don't even know you, you who practice lawlessness. Lawlessness is what we're seeing today. And we're seeing that through Tucker, Candace. It's coming out of their mouth. It's coming out of their lives. They're promoting lawlessness. They're promoting violence. They're promoting lies and deception. And so you could say, are they Christians? I don't believe so. So what we're seeing now in Iran is necessary, folks. So don't get upset about it. But it's also reflecting us here. China. We won't get into all this because that's a whole different stuff. But between China, Russia, Venezuela, and Turkey, all this stuff is developing to fulfill end time prophecy. But we need to, one of the things I just want to say, and I'll quit preaching here, is that we need to be prepared. And I talk to Bob about this all the time. You know, when you're a cop and you've been trained, you know, like for example, many times we would have training where we would stop a car on the road, which would be another officers in training, and we would do a stop and we'd try to do the stop without getting killed. And many times we got killed. But the more times you did it, the better you got at knowing what to look for and knowing what to watch for. So to get to the point where you stop, you know, the cops are playing the bad guy and you won the fight rather than lost the fight. We need to be aware wherever we're going at this point. When we walk into a mall or go to a restaurant, be aware of what's around you. Kind of keep an eye on, number one, where the exits are. Do you see, when I go to the mall, my wife and I go to the mall and walk every morning. And so when we're in there, I'm watching the people and just enjoying time, but I'm watching. If I see somebody that doesn't fit, it doesn't mean they're guilty of anything, but it means I pay attention to them. And I make sure they don't have a coat on too much. They have their hands in the pocket. They're looking around or
Bomb
something.
strapped to their belly.
Yeah, yeah. Bombs on, but you pay attention to that, and especially today, because these people that are our enemies that want to take over this country, they want to create violence everywhere, little spots, not just in New York's and Los Angeles. They want to create it in Idaho and Twin Falls and wherever you're living by just causing fear to where nobody is going to want to go to the mall because I might get blown up. I don't want to go to a restaurant. I might get shot. And so we need to be prepared. And hopefully those of you that are watching, most of you probably all are armed and believe in the Second Amendment, or you probably wouldn't be watching this. And be prepared. You may have to end up and protect yourself or other people. And so the more I'm saying, don't go out and look for trouble. Just go out and be prepared and be aware of what's going on around you and the kind of people you're seeing. And it doesn't mean that everybody that looks like they're a Muslim or dark skinned or whatever are bad guys. That's not what I'm saying. But just be prepared for how they act and make sure that you're ready to respond and not run away. Because when you run away from things, you're going to find yourself with an opportunity to be shot in the back. And so that's my 2 cents worth, Bob, for just the issue we were talking about.
Okay. Well, thanks. I want to get to a couple of comments here. From Steelwolf, hot tip. Check with your local gun ranges. Many will have lifetime memberships for vets with a VA percent above a certain level. Was paying for my membership for years. Oops, wait. You're back on YouTube? Yes, Steelwolf. I created the Idaho Preparedness channel over on YouTube. So you could watch there. But hey, the main channel is here on Rumble. That's the main Rumble and X. As a matter of fact, I did a live stream this last week when all this stuff was going on, when it was just breaking. I went out and did a live, and nobody was there, but I still did it. Let's see. It's not a conspiracy if it's true. Attempting to keep quiet. That's the conspiracy. And then over on the YouTube side, let's see, Miko Wolf. Yeah. Oh, thumbs up, guys. Please. I've got 41 people on YouTube right now that are watching. Please, if you're on YouTube, thumbs up. Let's get the thumbs up to 40 if we can. On Rumble, 54 people on Rumble right now. Please give us the thumbs up. There's 24 thumbs up right now. Please subscribe if you haven't. And then over on X at Grayman Survival, 34 people watching over on X right now. That is awesome, guys. That is awesome. We're getting We're getting the word out, and I want to be able to communicate with people. I want us to communicate with each other. All right, now to the main dish here at dinner. Things to do now as this spice gets spicier in the next coming days and weeks. Finalize your 1 month plan, where I am going to assume that the 100 plus of us that are sitting here watching right now or participating are of the preparedness mindset. We have some preparations, whether that's food, beans, bullets, gold and silver, whatever, communications. Everybody's got their specialty. Make your final plans. If you've been thinking about things like, wow, when things start to get really bad, I better bury my gold, because when they declare martial law, when something becomes tyrannical, and it could be under the Trump administration, I've got some signs that things are turning tyrannical, and it goes both ways. It cuts both ways. You never know which government is going to, and it could be a state or local government that does this, like they did after Katrina. If the government was, if you just had the information that the government was going to declare martial law next month, and they were going, and you had this information, they're going to confiscate guns, ammo, gold, silver, your excess food, more than, let's say, a week's worth of food, and your now illegal radio communication devices. If you have been thinking about bury tubes or burying things, now is the time to set those plans in motion. Get your place, get your little spot of land that you want to dig a hole. Get a tube. I suggest these 12-inch round PVC tubes. You seal them up on both ends. You throw that underground. It's just a pipe, especially if you bury it along sewer pipes or other pipes. And you could put all kinds of things in there. We'll do a show specifically on bury tubes. We'll do that this year. We might have done it before, but we'll do it again. I'll do something on that. Pick out your locations. Make sure your caches. Make sure your caches are going to be secure. They're going to be watertight. And you're going to put them in places. You need to map these things out, and then get a GPS coordinates if you want, but you want to have something that's on paper, how to find this thing if the landscape changes, because ideally you want to bury your stuff off property. You want to bury it in a location that you would be able to get to after a month after something happens, let's say a martial law event. If you live in a city that is prone to mass riots, i.e., you're in New York, you're in Minnesota, you're in California, or Oregon, or Washington. And we know for a fact that all of these states have a high rate of rioting, looting, and lawlessness going on right now. How likely is it that these events will affect your home? Well, if you live in a city, even a small city, let's take, Twin Falls, Idaho, for example. If you live in the middle of the city, chances are, if there is that big emergency happening, you're going to be affected. If that martial law was instituted, chances are you'll be visited. If you live out in the country, further out, your chances go down. The rioting doesn't come out into the country generally. Who knows what it'll do once this civil war really starts kicking off. We may be defending our homes out here in the middle of nowhere. Is local law enforcement sympathetic to normal citizens' concerns, or are they hiding from the professional protesters like they are in several cities right now and taking the easy way out? Remember, oh man, let me set up one more picture here that I remember very, very well. Give me a second to go in. Yeah. Does anybody remember this couple? Yeah. Do we remember this couple in Wisconsin or somewhere? I don't know. They were protecting themselves because they had called the cops numerous times. The cops were like, nope, not coming out, not doing anything. And Antifa marching down their street, looking to break in and loot and rob the people in that neighborhood. These people, as untrained as they were, used legal means of trying to protect themselves. And that didn't go so good for them. I mean, they ended up going to jail. And they, lucky for them, they were lawyers. They were able to basically participate in their own defense. And they ended up getting a small slap on the wrist and paid some fines. And but they were protecting themselves when the police wouldn't. Why were they arrested? Because the police said it themselves at the time. It was easier to take the conservatives to jail and let the bad guys have the streets and loot the homes than it was to enforce actual justice. Yeah.
Do you remember something about that situation? That the lady's gun didn't work. It was inoperable. And so when they found that out, when they were doing the investigation thing, they couldn't charge her for it. But so what the illegal Democrat government there did was they were trying to have the gun fixed quietly so they could charge him for it. But it was exposed, so they had to drop that. But that's the kind of things we need to think about. The people on that side are not honest. They're dirty.
They can be very dirty. And that's usually the prosecutors that are doing that. The prosecutors want to make a conviction. That's their they should be, by law, officers of the court. They should be interested in justice, not convictions. But they get interested in convictions. Other things we want to keep in mind right now, because it is coming, and especially if you live in a city. Can I get around known disturbances without getting mixed up in the fray? That means knowing your town, knowing alternative ways to get to and from work, to and from places that you may need to go. Daycare centers if you got to pick up your kids, doctors if you're elderly, like me and Terry. Well, you're more elderly than me, but if you need to get around, life doesn't completely stop during this uh, during this civil war, and we may need to get out and do some things. Do I have a way out? What if this comes to my neighborhood? Um, can I exfil from home or especially work? If you work downtown in Minneapolis, can you exfil from work and start and get yourself out of there? What if things go from absolutely normal to absolutely extreme in the course of the afternoon? You're in the office, you're doing your thing, you're typing on the computer, going to meetings, doing whatever you do at work, and all of a sudden, everybody gets a phone call. Hey, we're going to close up early today because there's something going on down in the street. Well, now they're going to close up and try to protect their assets, and they don't care about you, of course. But now you've got to figure out, how am I getting the hell out of here and how am I getting home? So think of ways that you can exfil from work if things start suddenly get caught. Can I protect myself if I'm caught in a violent encounter? We've all seen all of these videos that are coming out of Minnesota right now, where violent left-wing protesters right now or last night were breaking into hotels that they thought ICE agents were staying at. And I mean, it is, they're breaking into their hotels, they're breaking in, going through hallways, blowing whistles, banging drums, to keep these guys from sleeping. And I'm sure anybody that would have been staying in those hotels weren't sleeping because they were waiting for the door to get busted open,
Bob?
which is going to come.
One thing that we need to think about and prepare for is what are we willing to do? One of the things you're trained when you're a cop, are you going to really pull the trigger when you need to, or are you going to pause? And by the time you think, and you have to work through that now, and in your head, how far back will I be pushed? What will I do? What has to happen in order for me to be willing to pull a trigger if I have to protect my family? And remember, we're not being aggressive here and being attackers. We're protecting ourselves, but too many times people aren't prepared because they haven't gone through it in their brain enough times to respond and respond the way they need to for their own protection. Then they end up getting hurt or killed. So those are the kind of things we need to think about. What's the worst thing that could happen? What am I willing to do? And how far will I be pushed back in my life before I will actually respond to protect myself? And we need to think about that. You need to work through it. You need to play through it in a scenario in your mind. Okay, I'm walking down the street. This guy comes up. He puts a gun on me. Do I want to pull my gun and shoot him? Do I want to just give him my wallet? Well, you need to play through those things so that when the situation arises, you're ready to do it. And we've both had to do that in our past law enforcement. What am I going to do when the time comes? So that's something that we never think about.
Well, and you have to work through your conditioning. If you live in a place like California, which is basically, you have a duty to retreat, you've got to run away, and they are so against people protecting themselves, they'll arrest you, and you'll get arrested for it. They will throw the full force and effect of their law at you for protecting yourself. Whereas in a place like Idaho, we have strong stand your ground rules or laws, and you are allowed to protect yourself. And that is protected here in Idaho.
One other thing that I think is important is if you, and this is not a commercial for them, but if you are a 2A person and you're carrying a gun, it is wise to have insurance like USCCA. Again, I'm not advertising, but it's for $300-400 a year. If something happens where you have to use your gun, whether you're in the right or maybe a little bit in the wrong, and I don't mean you've committed a crime, but I mean you could have maybe waited. These guys will come in and they will protect you, and it won't cost you a cent. And it could cost you hundreds of thousands to get out of a situation like that. So if you are a gun carrier, there are organizations out there. I don't know them all. I use USCCA. I think I saw you use it too, Bob, because I saw a magazine in your house.
Yes.
So that's something to think about.
Yeah. You've got to make those decisions, and that not only guns. I mean, are you prepared to grab a bottle, break a bottle, use that? Are you, do you carry a knife? Do you have a chain with you? Tools, anything that you can use, and you've got to, like Terry was saying, you've got to get it through your head. At what point am I willing to lay down my life or to protect my life or my family or my freedom? Let's keep moving on here. We're getting to the end, guys. Are you able to get unfiltered, non-propaganda news and information? That's hugely important. I mean, to me, this is why I think we have such a problem in this country is we've had a media for the last 50 years that up until the last, I would say 10 or 15 years, has been the gatekeepers of all information. And they have been infiltrated by communists years and years ago who knew if we take over the media, if we take over the schools, we'll indoctrinate the children and we'll work on the people. They'll only get the information that we want. Hence, you get lovely mother of three gunned down by evil ICE agents from the most trusted source in news. Bingo Jim says Guns and Gadgets just did a video on a state trying to pass a law. Let me put this up on the screen here. Pass a law. You have to report your use of self-defense immediately to law enforcement. Yeah, crazy, crazy stuff. Now, is it important that if you use force, that you are the first one to call? Because mark my words, if you're not, if you use force and you're not the first one, no, barring extreme circumstances like you've been knocked out or you're taken to the hospital in a coma, if you use force, and let's just say deadly force, whether or not somebody was hit or not, if you're not the first one to report it, they're going to report it. The other guys are going to report it, or somebody else will. You'll be the bad guy. So get it on record, get your side of the story. Whether you need to call an attorney right away, that's where something like USCCA, attorneys on retainer, any number of services like that will protect you in your use of force, and you'll have use of force attorneys. Anyway, you need that non-propaganda news and information. Things like this. We're trying to provide news and information to you. We're trying to get news and information from you, from unfiltered, real news. What's happening? Have you vetted the people in your life? Children can be a big concern. Remember, let's go back to World War II. Children were encouraged to spy and report on their parents, grandparents, and neighbors for real or perceived violations. Let's go into the future. Let's think into the future for just a moment and think of a Kamala Harris presidency with all of her friends in Congress, and what could possibly happen? How far do you think they would take it? How tyrannical could they become? And for that, the last thing I want to talk about is signs that a government is turning tyrannical. And some of this stuff could apply to things that are going on today, or they could. Do your due diligence from Shadow Bear. Do your due diligence when it comes to carry insurance companies. USCC has been quick to abandon people, for instance. Many don't cover all states. Yeah, you want to talk to a few outfits. USCC has abandoned people because they did break a law. The other thing that I'm not real wild about in USCCA is the fact that when you call that number after a use of force incident, know that you don't have at that moment attorney-client privilege, because you're talking to an insurance agent. Or not an agent, but you're talking to a call taker, not an attorney. So you don't want to explain to that person. You can say, I just had a use of force incident and I need to speak to an attorney right now, and see what happens. And you could ask them point blank, am I covered right now under attorney-client privilege? Attorneys on retainer covers other weapons besides firearms. USCCA added that as well. Also, if you're carrying in prohibited places like a post office, post offices are okay now, or in a state that doesn't recognize your right to carry. Yeah, if you're carrying in California and you don't have a California CCW and you have a use of force incident, USCCA is not going to cover you because you knowingly did something else. And then he provides, Siren Pickle provides a link here. And I'll put that in the YouTube comments. It's already there in the Rumble comments. And please, people, 45 people on Rumble, please, I need the thumbs up. Or no, 45 on YouTube, 10 thumbs up. Can I get 40 to 45 right now? Just, it's free. It's free, guys. And let me just look. We've got 37 here on X and 51 on Rumble. What an awesome turnout for today. All right. Signs that the government could be turning tyrannical, and this is not any one of them is a definitive, is the definitive sign, but it's a combination, or it could be one. A government that claims overwhelming popular support, even when the evidence shows otherwise. We haven't really had that, but other than, 81 million votes for Biden in 2020. And then nobody liked his stuff. Yeah, hey, let's go, Brandon. Attacks on media and journalists, labeling critical media as fake news, enemies of the people, or scum is a hallmark. Well, when we do know that a media outlet, or a group of media outlets like CNN are putting out fake stuff, I mean, then it's true. But that's something to watch for. Labeling your opponent, your political opponents, as enemies. Political rivals, activists, or minority groups are portrayed as internal threats, traitors, or existential dangers. Does anybody remember that all through the Biden presidency? You had Letitia James. You had people running for offices, state and local offices, promising as a campaign promise, I'm going to get Trump. I'm going to get that guy. Because he's an existential threat to our democracy. Concentration of power and erosion of checks and balances. The left will claim that Trump is a dictator. I submit that he can't be a dictator because he is encouraging, or he's letting dissent happen. He's not shutting that down, not shutting down dissent. The erosion of checks and balances. Our Constitution provides certain things that the president has the power to do. Now you've got judges who are activist judges right now, who are trying to run the government or shut down certain things. And they do. They're, when the judge says, hey, you gotta return this guy, this Tendrai Aragua guy, back to the United States. Well, they complied, and it went all the way up to the Supreme Court, or it's going, and the Supreme Court will make that determination. But the current administration right now is complying with those things. In the last administration, what did we see? That forgiving, that the Supreme Court went all the way to the Supreme Court, forgiving student loans was unconstitutional. Yet they did it anyway. They said, yeah, screw it. We're going to still do it. Suppression of dissent and free expression. Initial curbs on free speech. Well, we don't have that. We absolutely don't have that. Increased surveillance, book bans, or penalties for dissenting opinions. Now we have that on the left. Comply or we'll kill you. And they're coming out and saying that. You'll comply or we want you dead. You're a Nazi. You're a fascist, a racist, a Nazi, a white supremacist. And they tell black conservatives that they're a white supremacist and they're a racist and a Nazi. They tell Jews that they're a Nazi, a racist, and a white supremacist. They don't care. And the meaning of those words has just become nothing in our society. The rise of paramilitary or militarization of law enforcement. We could argue that is happening right now under our federal law enforcement is being militarized. They're using military type uniforms, but they have to because they're being attacked. So, but that's something that we need to keep an eye on, that doesn't turn on us. Manipulation of information and propaganda. Well, that's obviously been happening under the legacy media, at least. they've lost all credibility. I mean, smaller podcasts, well, not mine, but smaller podcasts are beating all of legacy media every day. But when that becomes state media, and look at what Trump just did. They cut off the funding for PBS. PBS was state media, and it was very, very, very liberal or very, very progressive communist. They cut off the funding for it. So I think that was a good idea. If the left really wanted PBS to survive, they would fund it. They would fund it somehow themselves. Weaponization of justice and economic controls. Here's the last one. The FBI and the IRS were using search terms like MAGA, Trump, using Bible and firearms purchases to conduct surveillance on conservatives between 2021 and 2024. In 2024, that's from a House of Representatives report done in 2024. The Trump indictments, I mean, coming from, all over the place, New York and Atlanta, Georgia, and wherever these lefty DAs got elected, they indicted Trump, and Trump was, Trump went on trial, as opposed to James Comey, who, let's see, let me find that other one here. Let me go in. Well, we all know that there was a judge who let oh, come on. Yeah, there it is. Publish that one. Yeah. The judge tossed grand jury indictments, not just indictments, but grand jury indictments, overturned them, said, nope, I'm throwing them out. James Comey and Letitia James. Well, no wonder, no wonder the DOJ can't get anything done, because nothing can get done in this country, or at least under a conservative government. PTA members labeled as terrorists by the DOJ and FBI. Selective charges. Oh yeah, we have selective charges by during BLM riots. Remember all those BLM riots? Billions and billions of dollars in damages to private buildings, to state and local and federal government buildings, statues and all kinds of cool stuff like that, damaged, burned, arson. And you had very, very few were ever charged with things. Even Kamala Harris had a what do you call it? A fund to bail them out of jail. But 1,500 people from January 6th, some of which deserve to get convicted, but a lot of them walked into an open building, sometimes hours after the whole thing was over, and they spent years in solitary confinement in the worst prisons in our country. I mean, that's what I call fair and just. Anyway, that's kind of all that I have. I wanted to just put this all out there. I know it's a lot. It's a ton of stuff. Um, Shadow Bear, I thought that the post office deal was only for that particular federal district where the case was brought. Maybe even the same particular. Well, I do know that the sign on my local post office, the no gun sign, is gone. That's gone. So I thought that that was kind of the rule of the land rule of the land, or whatever the hell they call it. 47 people here on YouTube, 48 on Rumble, and 42 on X. Man, what a cool group of things we got going here. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Do we trace weaponizing media to Obama or further back? When Obama called cops stupid without knowing all the case facts. Yeah, well, weaponizing the media has been going on for 50 years. I mean, it got infiltrated in the 50s by the Saul Alinsky communists back then. And it's just been going on in indoctrination since then. But Obama really, really stepped up the game, I'll say. He absolutely was the godfather of weaponizing the government against its political enemies, which included the American people. Yeah, law is non-existent. Y'all prove that intentionally on a daily basis. Gonzo, and now it comes home. It's pure logic, the law of the land. The law of the land! Thank you! Thank you, Gonzo Johnny. Okay, that's all I got. Anybody else got anything? Questions, comments? Did I help you? Did I screw it up? I don't know. Black Lives Matters writes, Miko
I think
Wolf.
we need to make, Bob, I think we need to make sure people are just aware and just be aware of their surroundings and be prepared for whatever happens.
Yeah. Situational awareness, guys, heads on swivels. Know your surroundings. Know what's going on outside when you're inside. Take a look at, if you're driving through a city, especially a bigger city right now, it is probably a very good idea to see where the little red spots are in, say, Apple or Google Maps. They're kind of done live. And I haven't been in a big city other than Boise in years. Media is a weapon and it always will be. No need for infiltration. Well, I wouldn't say that. I would say back in the day, the news was pretty straightforward. It was like, hey, 14 people were killed in Vietnam today, and whatever. It wasn't as overtly biased as it is now. Now, everything you see, let's just take the Nick Shirley videos that happen, and you get the news commentators, or when the mainstream media had to, because they were absolutely forced to cover the issue or to cover the story. It was never you know, YouTube, YouTube journalist or YouTube person, Nick Shirley. It was right wing conservative Nick Shirley, or right wing YouTuber. They try to minimize them. They always do this. President, or Donald Trump, convicted felon of 34 counts, is running for president again. It's just, it's so biased. Gonzo Johnny, they are owned by the rich, and that does not care about the rules of a nation. Yeah, and that's 100% true. It's all that big oligarchy, as they say, as both sides kind of say, because we, the people, kind of know. And honestly, I would love to have, or to have an honest conversation with a left-wing person and just state the facts. What exactly is, I've watched countless videos with what's her name, the Liberty Hangout gal, Caitlin Bennett, and Nick Shirley, and there's a kid out in California who does the same kind of thing. They do these interviews, and it's always Orange Man bad. I just hate him. I don't know why. And then when they kind of push him into hey, you got to answer a question. I don't have time for you. I'm not going to engage with you, or I'm late now, and so I got to go. I'm walking on the beach, but I'm late for a meeting. I have to shampoo my cat right now. I have to leave.
What's frustrating, Bob, sometimes is when you watch these programs. I got the sunlight coming in here. When you watch these programs and the guys questioning these college students, the ones that are marching and walking and making decisions. How many stars or stripes on the flag? How many states do we have in America? And all these questions that a second grader should answer, and they're lost.
And they can't. They're college students.
Yeah.
And they say, and then when they go, oh, well, the MAGA people, they're uneducated. Oh, most of them just don't even have a high school education. Well, but at least MAGA people, for the most part, know who the president of the United States is, know how many stars there are in the flag, know that we are a constitutional republic. We're not a democratic republic. We're not a socialist. These are
the people that vote. They go out and they vote for these stupid laws, or like Mondami in New York, and he's going to do all this great things. Just wait and see what he's going to do.
Yep.
And because you're a fool, you're.
Yep. So Miko Wolf says, "Don't go to the big city. It's a trap." Had a lot more fun for a lot less in the country, small towns. I agree. I personally agree. But hey, not everybody can be somewhere in the country. KK7RDO says, my saying is, look, listen, and feel. If it doesn't look, sound, and feel right, don't go in. Go somewhere else. Great advice, my friend. Media, from Gonzo Johnny, media always manipulates and divides. No exceptions. It's pure propaganda all the time.
Yeah.
But being aware is great advice. Stay away from cities and all the groupthink, and worry about yourself and your loved ones. Fantastic advice. Yes, I'm wearing orange. Orange is the new black. Gonzo Johnny, I'm non-political. I get both sides but I don't get, I don't know what that says. Both of themselves to be used by the class of people who own it and only pretend to be left or right. Yeah, I am a conservative. Not all of, I'm a very, my personal opinion, I'm very libertarian in most respects, but I lean far conservative, fiscally conservative. I'm pretty libertarian on a lot of issues. There's some issues that I'm totally conservative on. Some I'm kind of like, hey, you know what? You do what you do you. And then radicalize both sides while they profit and leave you all with the division. Yeah. And guys, just know that all these congressmen, senators, especially nationally, they want everybody divided into little tiny groups. It's not just enough that we're divided into left versus right. You got to be divided into this right versus that right. It's, you got to keep the blacks and the whites from agreeing on anything. You got to keep the Latinos and the Anglos from agreeing on anything. You got to keep the Jews apart from the Christians. Let's just keep dividing everybody until there's nobody left to stand for the American people. That's what they want. And then, turn in your guns, your gold, and your extra food, guys. That's where they want it to go. So don't trust them. Don't trust any of them. Terry, you got anything?
Not really. Nothing
Okay.
that you haven't
Man,
already
it's 11
covered.
o'clock. We've been
It's
going.
time.
We've been going now for 2 hours. Man, this is like a radio show. Guys, thank you so much. I'm going to switch screens here. And go back to me. Go back to me. Yeah, there we go. Guys, thank you so much. This has been great. I love it. We've got, please, more thumbs up. And if you're watching on Team Replay, thumbs up on all the thing. I want to say 7-3, guys. We'll do it again next week. I don't know what we're going to do it on. I guess the news will tell us kind of what we're doing it on. 7-3, guys. We'll see you later.